Hello and welcome back to Spotlight Indie, to another episode of Begone. A bit more of a special head-to-head episode today because we have two wonderful guests with us today. We have the amazing Trudie Skies with us and the fantastic RJ Bayley. So they are here to tell us about things they would like to make Begone. So we will dive into the game in just a moment, but I'm going to go around clockwise on the screen to get our lovely guests to introduce themselves. So Trudie, could you just quickly let people know about you and your little work?
Hello, I'm Trudie Skies. I'm the author of The 13th Hour, the first book in the Cruel Gods series. I write Gaslamp fantasy I call it fantasy of bad manners because it's got lots of swearing and lots of other rude stuff in it. Currently working on my next one, which is also very rude, and that's called The Chosen One Con.
Excellent. And RJ, can you give people a little introduction to yourself, please?
Yes, following on from that, I was very fortunate enough to be the audiobook narrator of the 13th Hour audiobook, which is one of my favorite projects I've ever done. I'm an audiobook narrator, voice actor, so I don't just do audiobooks, and also more recently a writer. I write for a game called Xeogenesis, which is a tabletop miniatures game. So I write sci-fi stories for Best Hobbies as well, which is a lot of fun.
That sounds like a very awesome collection of strings to your bow there as well as the amazing stories that Trudie's got as well. I'm glad you sort of mentioned the narrating part, because when I say like it's a head-to-head, it's a playful thing. You know, we're all friends.
Yeah.
You know, it's all good. Lovely. So I think let's just dive into the head-to-head aspect. So as I say, we've got several rounds to this. So we're gonna choose things that you want to make Begone from various categories. So for round one, we're going to choose real life. So choose something from your non-writing life or reading or narrating life, I should say, to make Banish forever. So it could be something very serious, like we've had sort of capitalism as people have picked before. Or
it still exists though.
Yeah, well, my powers are slow to work as the arbiter of truth and justice. Or something just silly like I don't know, paper airplanes or rubbers on pencils or something like that. So Trudie, let's stick with you to start. So what would you like to banish from real life, make Begone from real life?
I was going to pick something very silly like blue cheese, but I've actually decided on something serious, which I'm sure the both of you would agree: smudges on glasses.
Oh God, yeah.
I cannot stand being a person that wears glasses. They constantly get smudges. I'm constantly cleaning them. I hate it so much. It has to go. They have to invent something that fixes that, you know.
Yeah, I don't know about you, RJ, but I think probably it happens less with cats, but more with dogs. Like if my dog comes up and gives me, a big lick on the face, then 30 seconds later, I'm like, why can't I see anything? And it's because I have to wipe the dog lick off my face.
Yeah.
Well.
I'm forever wiping them, and every time I know that one of the things that reminds me I'm watching a movie is when there's someone in a film and they've got glasses on and they are impeccably clean. I'm like, only in movies are spectacles that impeccably clean and smudge free. Yeah, I'm constantly wiping them, and because these are fairly new glasses, and I don't know if there's a video component to this that people will be able to see, or they'll just see the audio. I've got the blue light filter on, and so if anyone can see this, my blue light filter is going mad.
I can see a bit of blue.
Yeah. But yeah, because they're fairly new, I don't want to damage them. So I'm not rubbing them on my t-shirt. I'm rubbing them on the special provided cloth. And I'm like, so whenever there's a smudge, I feel like I can't get rid of it until I locate it.
That's torture.
Yeah, it really. If I'm out and about and I don't have a glasses cleaning cloth, like you say, it's absolute torture. It's worse than being banished to hell, I'm sure.
It definitely is.
Yeah. I wonder if we extend that because I also find it very. I haven't got contacts. I haven't tried them. Maybe yet. I don't know if I will. But similarly, we've been sort of briefly talking about the weather and dog walks before we started recording. And when it's raining, I then can't see anything either because I have to sort of make the decision to either like take the glasses off and have a very blurred view of where I'm walking, or keep them on and have a slightly different blurred view from where I'm going.
My secret is, well, it's not a secret. My tactic is I have several baseball caps, and when it's raining, like a baseball cap, usually I have a tatty dog walking baseball cap, and a baseball cap's absolute gold because it keeps the rain off your glasses.
That's a great idea.
It's amazing. Changed my life. Yeah, any glasses wearers who hate the rain, get a baseball cap. And when I asked my parents for a Christmas present a year or two ago, I was like, I'd like a new woolly hat, but it needs to be one of them with the thing. So when I'm walking the dogs and it's snowing, I can not get snowflakes just ruining my vision.
I mean, I'm literally going to write that down. Like, just yeah.
It's fantastic.
Because that's it. I've got a woolly cap I wear a lot for my dog walks, but that doesn't help. Because
you can get them. Warm, you can get woolly caps with peaks. It's great.
Yeah. See, baseball cap plus woolly peak cap. Okay, I feel like we've all connected very viscerally to that answer. So, RJ, what would you like to make Begone from the real world?
Again, this is possibly more serious, genuinely more serious, but it's not terribly serious, but it winds me up. Gatekeeping. I would love gatekeeping to piss off out of my life, out of everyone else's lives. I find it absolutely horrendous. It's always about the most trivial things as well. Like, for example, I see it a lot in the heavy metal community. I have a heavy metal radio show. I'm very involved in that community. And so I'm like on, comment sections a lot, unfortunately, because I like to check out the news and there's comments below them. And you will always see like gatekeepers, like saying something is metal, something isn't metal. It's usually attractive women. If conventionally attractive women try to make heavy metal, they are immediately written off. I got into an argument with someone online because unfortunately I get drawn in about someone saying like, it was about Alyssa Whiteglass's new musical project. And he was going, oh, great, just another, can't wait for people to realize this gimmick is or can't wait for people to be over this gimmick. And I was like, what's the gimmick? And he was like, and I'm like, I don't know. And what it was very obviously is women trying to make heavy music. And then people are like that to fans. And it's like people about their little things. And I'm sure it happens, in books and stuff, but music, in tabletop gaming, which I'm part of the community, these things which were and still are very niche, and still are like little nerdy things, right? Like heavy metal, like tabletop gaming, like being really into books, genre books especially. They want to keep it super niche. It's almost like it's their little castle and no one's allowed. They've erected a wall. And I'm like, don't you want more people to enjoy it? So you have more people to talk about this with, more people to enjoy it, more customers, basically. Yeah. So the industry will flourish and you will get more of the product, the content, whatever that is, to enjoy for yourself as well. So purely from selfish means, you should encourage more people to be into what you're into. And also, I'm sorry, I told you I was tired before the show, so I was grumpy and I might rant. Right? Usually it's like unkempt gentlemen who are not conventionally attractive. And it's like, don't you want more attractive ladies to be into what you're into? Don't you, surely you would, I would love more ladies to be into Warhammer or something. And, isn't purely from a romantic point of view as well, isn't it great to have a more diverse pool of people? Okay, sorry, I apologize.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Even as you say, from that perspective, you want to have a shared interest with the people you spend your time with, romantically or otherwise. So opening the doors is always good. And I feel like it also sort of leads on to that idea of cringe nowadays that people have. Like, you don't want to do anything cringe. It's like, well, no, just let people openly enjoy what they want to enjoy. And, it's just, make it more welcoming. And like, as you say, it's that these things aren't zero-sum games, you know. Like the more people that enjoy your hobby or your music or whatever it is, the more ultimately they may be driven to create that sort of music that you like. And,
Exactly.
I mean, honestly, this shit just infects every kind of fandom, any kind of subculture. It's everywhere. And you're right, there is a certain type of person that seems to kind of perpetuate it. And it's generally always usually women, attractive women, that kind of get the brunt of this crap all the time. So, yeah, you're absolutely not wrong.
Yeah, and it just, you know, prevents people from going out and trying these things because they feel like they're going to get judged, or, you know, have to do a quiz on the way in.
It's hard enough to get into these things. You might really want to get into these things. You might want to push toy soldiers around. You might want to read romantasy. You might want to listen to fast music about dragons, right? And there is a judgment in that. Like they nerdy is often like hand in hand with niche and shunned. That's the same, almost synonymous sometimes. And like it's hard enough to kind of like push past society's expectations. Then to have the thing you're trying to get into, have the gatekeepers reject you from that as well. Like that's a repellent, double barrier to try and break through. And life is not. There are way more important things in life than, and like we all make. You know, our lives revolve around books, right? Our income, etc. I also have a radio show, so music as well. Like and I write for Tabletop Wargame. All of these things are massively important to me and many of the people in the community, which is why they're so passionate about them. But they're not important. They don't matter. It's just music. It's just a game. It's just a book. Right. This is not social safety nets we're talking about, or welfare, or who's going to war with who. Chill out. Stop, get some perspective, go outside, and I'm deep into these things, but my word, like stop being so sheltered and go and understand that there are something can be very, very important to you, but it doesn't mean it's very, very important in general.
Yeah, and again, I think just hitting that note of if they're to remove those high standards that people are forcing on these things that don't need to exist. You're keeping people out, and it's like you just enjoy the community and the thing for what it is.
Exactly.
Cool. So the two options there, just to reiterate, for round one are gatekeeping and smudges on glasses.
Quite different, yeah.
I think purely, I feel like RJ would explode if I didn't pick gatekeeping.
I'm happy to give up smudges. I can cope with my crappy glasses. Yeah. Let's get rid of the gatekeepers.
We begin with the secret of baseball caps as well. There.
Exactly, so we can cope with that.
Yeah, we'll take that as a tip. Okay, so we've got to score one for RJ on that one. Lovely. Okay, moving away from this. Gatekeeping is no more. There we go.
Yes.
We've got rid of it.
Hey, bye. Don't come back.
Right, so round two is from sort of writing life. So let's I've got writing life written down, but we'll open that to creative pursuits, as RJ, you've got a few others as well that aren't solely writing. So the contestants will choose an aspect of the creative process that they wish was easier or more fun or anything like that. So RJ, let's start with you for this one. What out of your creative sort of process would you like to make Begone?
This is going to sound perhaps silly or trite, but starting like I had originally written down on my notes blank page syndrome, but it is beyond that in my other pursuits as well. It is like when you're in charge of your own, when you're self-employed, like starting something, it's just the most difficult thing because you've got to make something from whole cloth. So when I was commissioned to write a story recently, and I would just sit there like not knowing just staring. And I was like, I know what the story is. I had to write a synopsis of the story, all the plot points, and then get it okayed by my editor, right? The guy who looks after the lore of this universe. I know the story's there. I wrote it, right? But sitting down to actually write the prose was just so painful. I know what people mean now when they say that a story was a painful birth. Like, it's just like starting. It's just building up inertia. I love doing things like editing stories. I actively love it. I really enjoy it because that's like the fine detail work. In the same way, when I'm painting my little toy soldiers, I like painting the knuckles. Like, I like painting the eyeballs. I love that little detail stuff. It's when you've got to slap, you're like, right, I've got to slap like just one color repeatedly in massive amounts on there to get it going. I think of it like a sculpture where I would like to be I would like someone to have mostly done David, right? And then I'm just like chiseling away doing the little bits.
Yeah.
I don't want to be like cutting the mat because you just start with a massive block of stone. Where do you start? Where are you going to put the head? Like, where's the arm going to go? How does that relate to that? I find it absolutely so difficult to get started on projects. So starting, blank page syndrome, or starting, however you want to interpret.
I think it's good that you use the word, or interesting you use the word inertia there as well, because I feel like even if you're in the middle of a project, you pause and you come back to it after a couple of weeks or however long, that can still be just as painful as you say. You've got the synopsis of that story, but still getting going again. It can be really difficult.
I got 5 novels on the go, nowhere near finished.
Exactly. If starting was easier, getting back, it was just roll them down the hill like a snowball. But it's getting that first little, the few flakes together can be really tough. Yeah, I feel like Trudie and I also just that look in her eyes where we're like, I know exactly what you mean.
You'll be there. You suffer with us now.
Okay, Trudie, what about you? Would you like to make
more creative? I kind of want to go with an idea or a concept, but the idea that you have to write every day. Because that's given us advice to a lot of, especially newer writers, that you have to write every day. You have to write a certain amount every day. Otherwise, you're going to fail. You're going to fail to get that inertia. And it's like, you don't have to write every day to be a proper writer. You need to have breaks. You need to have time for your brain to kind of like go through the process. And I just feel like it's an unnecessary pressure that people feel like they have to sit down and write. I mean, it is very helpful to do that, to get your ass down and to write. But I feel like it kind of does more harm than good when you're forcing yourself to do it. If you've got a bad day, you're tired from work, it's okay to take a break. You need to take breaks. It's part of the process.
Yeah, I do think there's that. Trying to apply that advice to everything, that often happens when you get these kind of, broad sweeping statements and you say, write every day. And I remember a few years ago, I saw somebody of like, you read about these things and somebody was telling about their sort of writing plan, and they were writing, I haven't got very much on this day, so I'm going to write like 100 words and I'm good. And then the next day I'll try and write a lot more. And honestly, even that like blew my mind, because at that point I was like, no, you have to write every day. You have to write the same amount every day, because there can be no differences. And I was like, yeah, maybe I should just like actually apply the energy and other things I've got in my life, and then like see how much I should write.
I think it can make you feel guilty as well, that if you're taking a day off or you're feeling unwell or whatever, you feel bad because you're not writing. And I don't think that's a healthy way of approaching the creative process.
I feel like that you've got to write every day is almost it's kind of reminds me of hustle culture, like mentality, but bringing it into writing, which to me is like the polar opposite of what really, to me that sounds like very unhelpful. Like hustle culture, like into writing, is just like, I think you should be having fun when you're writing, like not feeling crap. It's the same thing of, or it reminds me of when people go, and I think this is probably not given any credence anymore, but I remember 10 years ago, it was commonly said, people would say, you've got to suffer to make great art. And when my depression has been shocking, I have never been less motivated to do any art, any writing, any voiceover stuff, any audiobook narration, production. It's when I'm at my happiest and my most comfortable and I'm secure, that's when I feel like I can do the best work. So yeah, again, like that hustle culture of every day brings me discomfort and makes me produce less good work and not what and dislike the process.
Yeah, and it's exactly, that's the same. That sort of feeds into what Drew, you were saying about you can't really rest, because especially if you're in that sort of bad place mentally or what physically, emotionally, wherever, and then you feel like you can't rest, but you need the rest to recover and recharge and do whatever, but then you can't even feel like you take Sunday or whatever day might be your day of the week. I still often feel like I should do something though, because I've not really got anything on today, so I should sit down and try and do something.
But also, when you're resting and you're not writing, you're still technically working on it. Like, you're thinking of ideas in your head, and your subconscious is kind of coming up with problems to writer's block if you're suffering from that. So it's not like you're not doing anything. You're still technically kind of processing. You're still writing. You're just not writing.
Yeah, you're letting your subconscious sort of process that stuff, and that I find a lot of important work happens like that. Those ideas that just leap out of the blue, which fix your problems, are because you've let your brain just do its work without trying to wring it through like a Victorian mangle or something to get all the juice.
Yeah. And you're putting like an unrealistic weight of expectation on yourself. I think, like, if you're doing it every day and you're feeling, it becomes a grind, I think there's probably an element where you'll go, well, this will pay off. Like, I will be picked up by a big publisher, because this has become such hard work, such effort, and we are conditioned by society to believe that hard work will always pay off and the system is fair, and you will get whatever reward you feel, a reward that corresponds or correlates with the amount of effort you've put in. And that just doesn't happen in real life. And I think it's really must be very depressing to grind away on something day after day after day and be like, and at the end be like, well, no one's picking me up, no one's paying attention. And that's sad. And that's but that's also not an indictment of your lack of work or your skill. But I think, like, it could feel like that if you're grinding away day after day.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you there's a lot of feeling, or that it's a pure meritocracy. That if you've written something good, then it will do very well, or like the hard work you put in will directly correlate to sales or a big publisher or money or whatever you want to do. But that just isn't how it works.
Yep.
Unfortunately. So let's make writing every day Begone, because then that will be how it works. That's how we decided.
Perfect.
Yeah. Right, we'll get rid of that one for that one. Perfect. Great. Okay. Awesome. We're charging through these and making some excellent changes to the world as we go. I like it. Right. So round 3, we're going to move on to sort of story life. So specifically more about the stories and worlds that you've created, or so if there's something from those stories and worlds you want to erase or undo. Maybe it's just something like a spelling mistake, or maybe it's like, actually I would have loved it if I could keep this character around for a little longer or do something different with them. So Trudie, could we start with you for this one, please?
Okay, well, my books are perfect, so I can't really think of anything that would be
okay.
Cool. But it's like, so my third book, which is called The End of Time, it ended up being quite a bit of a chunk. It was a big book at 260,000 words. I had to squeeze that into a paperback. I had to reduce the font size to fit it in. So can we get rid of page limits in paperbacks? Because it's like, people did say, why don't you just split it in half? And it's like, but I've already got the cover art and I like the name. I'm not going to think of a fourth name. I mean, realistically, I could have split it, had a fourth book, which I could sell for more money, but it's like, it's a cohesive story, man. So really, the size is perfect in my mind. It's a beautiful baby. So get rid of the page limits for paperbacks and hardcovers. These are now infinite, like ebook. There's no problem with ebooks, absolutely fine. But we've got to get rid of these page limits.
Just almost have like a like a tank caterpillar track, like with pages, so that as you turn them, they just sort of go round and round and round. Yeah, I feel your pain with that a bit as well, because my first book was quite a long one, not as long as that, but like 180,000 words, which is still hefty amount, and you are looking like,
yeah.
you're sort of making the, as you say, the font smaller to make it reasonable, so you can still read it, but it's still not like too long. So
yeah, trying to fit these big books into paperbacks and hardcover. So I haven't done a hardcover for the third one because I physically cannot do it on Amazon's kind of sizes. I'm going to have to go to Ingram or something. I haven't bothered yet because I just can't be bothered. But it's like, yeah, I'm lazy. But it's a lot just to try to fit these big books in. And I don't know how some of these authors with massive books compared to mine actually manage it. Like, it's got to be some kind of wizardry. I just don't know how to do it. Yeah. But we just get rid of the page limits. It's fine. We just, as I say, infinite scroll on paperbacks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm trying to think. There's somebody on social media. I can't think of their name, but I think it was like the Wheel of Time, and they bound all of the Wheel of Time into like a single volume. I'll see if I can.
The glue needed for that, man.
Yeah, exactly. It was a lovely thing, but yeah, definitely one you needed like a wheelbarrow to take if you were going to take it and read it at work or something. RJ, what would you like to make Begone from your stories, etc.?
This is like super niche, so I apologize. But that just shows that I'm not anywhere near as accomplished or experienced a writer as you guys, and I only write very short stories. I'm like one of the few people who makes an income from writing very short flash fiction. Basically, in my stories, I write travelogues set in in-universe travelogues for the game universe called The 100 Suns. And from the start, it's always been the character, Trev's travels, doing his, I'd write the travelogue story. And then after that, they ask for a box out, which is like some additional facts about the planet, about some aspect of the story, some additional context stuff. And to begin with, I was just like going, okay. So I would do like a story about these cities that were in balls, and they would like spheres, and they would float around on this ocean planet. And after that, I would just write, these are some names of them, and this is, the population amount and whatever. And I wish I could go back and do what I do now, which is find a reason for these things to exist in universe. So now I make them like an extract from a government report onto certain things which are served in bars, in these bars that have popped up in the wake of a disaster, which is like my most recent published story for them. Or I will do something which is like a extract from a scientific study, or a study on like funeral rites that I did recently within a particular star system. And I go back and I'm not annoyed because I'm still very early in my writing journey. But I look at that and I'm like, these things just float, Rob. They just float. Like, it's just floating information. Who is presenting this? Why is it here? How are we looking? Like, what is its reason for who are these free floating facts from? By who do we trust them? So yeah, if I could, I would go back and give in-universe explanations for presenting certain facts and knowledge that I just presented as free floating things. Now I totally get that that's a super niche thing, but I am a super niche writer. So
but they sound cool though, but also it's like you don't always have to explain things. Sometimes the mystery is part of the appeal.
Yeah, I get what you mean. Like, so I think I'm just like, okay, so I'm well up for mystery. I love leaving things to be mysterious and stuff, and I do that deliberately often because I like the reader's mind to like make up stuff. But it's like it's like, what format is this? Because it's like I'm presenting these travelogues in a certain way, in-universe travelogues, and then suddenly it just is like an out-of-universe thing, and it's like it's not so much leaving things as a mystery that I wish I had or hadn't done. It's the presentation of these facts. It's like finding a framing device, I suppose, for these certain things. I was going to think of an example then, but it's a super niche example. I don't know if you've ever seen the notorious horror movie Cannibal Holocaust,
I
which
can't say that I have.
I'm a big horror fan, but not of that one. It's awful. But it was like it's a 70s cannibal film, but it did invent the found footage genre. But it wasn't presented as found footage to begin with. It was people, the framing device was a group of people wondering what happened to an expedition, and they've had these films sent to them. So they go into a viewing suite in a building, and then we watch the films that were sent from the deepest, darkest parts of the Amazon. It's an extremely problematic film. Don't watch it. It does have animal death and torture in it.
Okay.
It's awful. Like, it is morally reprehensible, but it's an extremely famous horror movie for those reasons. For me, it's the horror movie that went too far. That's why it's famous. But it did invent the found footage genre, but because that didn't exist, it found a framing device, which was people watching footage that was sent back to them. And I just wish I had done something like that. Not animal abuse or torture, don't get it twisted. What I mean is found framing devices for these things, rather than just, here's some random facts. Hope you enjoyed the story. Here's some knowledge about the universe. Out of universe knowledge about the universe. Just breaks that immersion.
Yeah, I definitely see where you're coming from, and I can sympathize with that. But there's also an element of, you look back at that and recognize how much you've grown as a creator. Be like, actually now I would, you want to do a bit more with it. And yeah, I don't know how they're sort of situated, but is it like rule books, or is it is it on blogs occasionally?
It's on the website. So there's a number of things published on the website which build the lore and the ongoing story of the universe. So there's mine, which are the travelogues, which look at like society and culture and all kind of stuff, food. And then there is other ones which are like guides to the mechs and the weapons they use, which is what you will be playing with the toy pieces with when you actually play the game, when you paint the miniatures and play the game. So mine is like more of a fleshing in the universe rather than you will be playing with these things in your games.
Yeah, no, I can definitely empathize with that kind of stuff. I think we've all probably got early things that were like, I would change X or Y if I could. But I say maybe try and look at it as of a growth as a creative, as a positive thing. That's just me trying to make you feel better as well.
I appreciate it. Thank you. I am extremely grumpy and tired right now, so I appreciate any efforts in that regard. Thank you.
So okay, now I've got to pick through getting rid of page limits on books, and you going specifically back to change those things there. That's quite a tough one, actually. I don't know which one I would want to pick, because I can see the page limits on books being very practical. As I said, and I do empathize with RJ with your plight there as well. I think purely from a utilitarian point of view, if we maybe go with the page limits on books, because that could save other authors other things. And yeah, we'll just republish your things, RJ. Yeah. We'll just do them again.
I'll be honest, if you dithered any further, I would go, you really should choose Trudie's. That's going to apply to way more writers. So
I feel like I cheated a little bit with mine, though. I wasn't very specific.
Well, you had a specific example. It's all good.
It's pretty specific.
Yeah. I was just trying to add some tension to the decision there. Okay, great. So that leaves us. So we had the first round, we got rid of gatekeeping. The second round, we got rid of write every day, which left us even. And then on the third round, we truly swept in with page limits on books. So now we have our winners round / so what we're going to do now is pick a trope to get rid of. So the way that we've been doing this is that Trudie, you will pick a trope to get rid of. That will be your choice. But also what we're going to do is ask RJ what his trope is as well. And then Trudie, you have the option to change your mind if you want. So you then have the power to, you have the power, essentially. So Trudie, what is your trope that you would like to make Begone?
Bury your gaze.
Yeah.
Get rid of that one.
Cool. Would you like to explain that any further, or should we just leave that?
Do I have to explain the trope as well? Jeez. What is the actual definition of that? Basically, it's like when you have gay characters in books that are effectively just killed off, usually for stupid reasons. When just give them a happy ending. It's great. That's basically it.
Yeah, short and sweet. I like it. A very, a good choice to make Begone, not to use. RJ, what was your option for this then? If Trudie wants to change their mind.
Mine was, I think Trudie's is far more worthy. To be honest, I'll just get that out there. The apparent need for likable lead characters.
Ooh.
I call it's like there was a period, especially in cinema, and it probably still is ongoing, where every character was like, they presented it like someone you'd want to go to the pub with and want to be mates with, like the Star-Lord effect, where it was everyone was like likable and like fun and like, generally good looking because it's Hollywood or something. But, in other media as well, there would be likable characters. But I was like, this is enough likable characters. Likable does not mean compelling or interesting. And my number one example of that is Travis Bickle is probably one of the most compelling, interesting characters that I've ever had the joy of encountering in fiction, in media. And he's awful. He's like a really unpleasant, horrible, like racist, sexist, wannabe killer, right? But he's played so well and written so well, and it's those things and the life, the experience that we show that make him way more interesting and way more compelling than if you tried to do Taxi Driver with a likable bloke who was wisecracking and stuff. I find it a bit. I just get a bit bored with characters who are just all like great at everything and nice and don't have like many if any foilables, like just because it's unrealistic and not interesting to me.
Yeah, and they're basically the same character. There's no difference, and I find that you can. I've been feeling like with that like Marvelization of like the Marvel sort of hit on a note that they found worked really well, and then that's just the same note that they sort of play for a lot of different things.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm thinking of. Yeah,
and I feel like that it speaks to maybe I don't know, maybe I'm reading too much into it, but a lack of being able to like think critically about the the characters that you're presented with, as you say, like, and not thinking that this character is awful and racist and all these other things, like, but that's okay as a fictional character, like they're going to watch that and see this character and enjoy them as a character, and people just don't. I don't know if that the studios maybe or whoever is afraid to present those characters without being
protagonist shouldn't necessarily equal good person or good guy or person you root for, like, and I would prefer it often if it wasn't. I love it's like we're being fed, I feel like this, like that simplicity. Do not think like if it's the main character you root for them. It's just like takes all thinking, all analysis out of it. Whereas I love characters like James Bond, who is an absolute prick, like a womanizing, hard, substance abusing man, misogynist, who solves all of his problems mostly by first resorting to violence. Like, and that's a deeply compelling character. And I think that's and I love the moral questions we then get to explore in our head of, okay, but this guy is useful. He's very functional. Like, he serves a great benefit to society, and because the world doesn't blow up. And so what he does, like, is beneficial, but does he is he the only one capable of doing these things because he is a lunatic, because he is so awful? And do we need this kind of person, you know? And while obviously no one's trying to blow the world up with laser satellites, it does have applications that then you can apply to real life as well. So yeah, I think like it makes you think a lot more. Whereas, for example, the new James Bond, Daniel Craig, who is supposedly a more complex character, actually I think he isn't, because he's like more sympathetic to women. He doesn't drink as much. He holds people when they cry. He's a morally more sound person and therefore a less complicated character or less interesting character than Roger Moore, who seems like the comedy Bond, but he's the guy, like, when he would kill someone, it would either amuse or arouse him. And that's a way more like interesting character to me. So yeah, lead characters being likable do not lead to as interesting fiction. And they also, I think, train us to kind of like not question figures who are in real life actors and do things. We should be questioning those people in positions of power. And if we're just trained to go, position of power, lots of agency, therefore good person, must cheer for them, that could take us down a very dangerous route.
Absolutely. So Trudie, do you want to switch to that?
Well, that was quite a defense.
No, it's a good.
I will say I really do like morally grey characters. I like characters like RJ described that are definitely unlikable. It's been kind of like an issue for me with my writing career, because I've written characters in the past where I've had bad reviews say that they didn't like the character. And it's like, oh shit, they didn't like the character. What did I do wrong? But it's like, the character's fine. And it's like, I mean, I've written in my Cruel Gods books, I've written characters that are godless, that swear a lot. And there's one particular character called Jinx. She gets her own point of view chapters in the second book, which RJ hasn't seen, and her opening chapters are incredibly rude. She's swearing, she's being rude on the tram and stuff to public figures. She's a really vulgar, horrible person. And there was one reviewer who absolutely read my first book and he loved it. It was his favorite book of the year. He DNF'd the second book on Jinx's first chapter because he could not handle her being a sweary little cow. And it's like, I love that character. She's just, it feels like she's feminist rage to me. That's kind of how I write her. And I did tone her down a little bit in the third book because she was absolutely fucking lunatic. But like, she to me was unlikable, but she was fascinating. That's why I loved her. And in my new book that's coming out, the main character, Max, he is a sex worker. He does drugs. He's quite selfish. He decides that he cares more about his own comfort than society. But he's a fascinating character. And so far, thankfully, my beta readers seem to love him as a character. And it's like, I didn't write him to be likable, and I was kind of worried that actually he's kind of unlikable. He's kind of selfish. He's a bit of a prick. Are people going to be okay with this character? And so far, so good. But it's like, I do love him. So yeah, I kind of like want to come to defense of that trope or get rid of that trope because yeah, I do agree. But I also think in 2026 we need to get rid of burying gays.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I think you're morally more valuable.
In society, we have to move on. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we've made a nice hearty defense of getting rid of likable protagonists, but also we all know that we need to get rid of the bury your gays one there. So we've done a service to getting rid of both. Perfect. Okay, well that wraps us up for this episode of Begone. So thank you so much to Trudie and RJ for joining me. I've had a great time, so I hope you have had a great time, and I hope the viewers at home have enjoyed themselves. So as we wrap this up, I'm going to pass it back to you to both sort of let people know where they can find you and your stuff and generally support you. So Trudie, would you like to start us off where people can find you and your stuff?
Yes, so you can find me on my website, which is trudieskys.com. Obviously, I'm the writer of this book, which is 13th Hour. You can find that pretty much anywhere now because this book is now gone wide. So you can find it on Kobo, you can find it on itch.io, if that's how you pronounce it. It's now everywhere, like a bad disease, I guess. So yeah, that's me.
Perfect. Thank you very much. RJ, where can people find you and your various pursuits?
You can basically go to my link tree, which is linktr.ee/RJ Bayley, and that's Bayley, slightly different spelling. where you'll find a link to my website, rjbayley.com. I'm also on social media as RJ Bayley. I'm on Blue Sky and Instagram, and my Facebook page, my business page is RJ Bayley, voice actor, narrator, sound designer and writer. It's really long now to try and stuff in everything I do, but you'll probably find it if you search for RJ Bayley voice actor on Facebook as well.
Perfect. Thank you very much. And obviously, don't forget you can find Spotlight Indie at spotlightindie.co.uk or Spotlight Indie on the various social medias. So we are obviously here to support people like Trudie and RJ and lift up their voices and books. And also, do not forget, in coming up in a couple of months now, we've got an in-person event. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be in Shrewsbury on the triple check 23rd of May. Otherwise, I was going to say 21st, and you'd be there on the wrong day. 23rd of May at the Flaxmill Maltings in Shrewsbury. It is free to attend. We're going to have traders. We've still got a few trader tables available. If you wanted to let me know, I'm the person sorting those things out. We're going to have panels. We're going to have like entertainment and stuff. It's going to be a really awesome day, all day. So come along and find us, and come say hi. Enjoy the day. It's going to be absolutely amazing. Otherwise, just leaves me to say thank you once again to my amazing guests here this side. And yeah, we'll see you all around on the internet. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.